What is the fastest you have ever seen a new coworker get fired? 4 or so hours. When I was 18, I got a job at a grocery store, along with 3 others. We all started training together. On the first day we were training in the evening, and one girl asked to go home. She said her head hurt. They said fine. She clocked out, went to grab a grocery cart and started filling it with beer and liquor. The store manager walked over and asked her if she was having a party. She said yes. Didn't even try to come up with an excuse. Just, yeah, I am. So I needed to leave early on my first day. Basically, he fired her. 3 hours into the first shift, guy lost it serving an annoying customer in a grocery shop. Throw a cabbage at her. The manager came and told him to go home cause he finished there. He wasn't surprised. I was standing next to him. It was an entertaining day. This was just a summer job at a fast food place. We had a new girl start and within 2 days it was apparent she was an idiot and everyone knew that. You could already see the manager questioning his decision. Then on her 3rd day of work she said she couldn't come in because her mom was in a car accident and in the hospital. Turns out that's an easy thing to disprove in a relatively small town. I called a temp agency to get someone to help me count inventory. They sent a guy over with a cast on his arm. That was my first WTF, but I went with it because we were just counting parts. Then I came back from lunch and this dude was in my office chair zoned out and drooling on himself, with a can of air duster in his lap. I kicked him awake and escorted him out of my warehouse. Never used that temp agency again. As a teenager, I worked at a bowling alley. Within an hour, a new girl was fired on the spot for dropping a ball on the foot of a complaining patron. He didn't show up the first day, 2nd day, or 3rd day. I had to work a double shift for 3 days straight. Not fun. I answered the phone when he finally called in on the 4th day. He said, "I'm going to be honest with you. I've been in Orlando. My parents paid for a small vacation as a reward for getting the job. Would it be okay to start next week instead of this week?" Quote. Coworker. Smoked like every 40 minutes for like 10 minutes. Then asked the boss if he could leave an hour early because he didn't take his lunch break. As my boss said, "Sure you can, but you don't need to come back." A man was hired to do stock at a tea store that sold lots of delicate china. Manager walked into the back on his 3rd day and saw him just throwing boxes of teacups and teapots. Instantly fired. Before their first day on orientation, I got hired for a manufacturing job through Manpower, a temp agency. Me and a friend of my wife were both supposed to start on Monday at the plant for a week-long orientation. She got into a fender bender on her way to orientation, and called them to say that she'd be a bit late, that she just needed to wait on the police to give a statement. The manager told her not to bother ever coming in. Girl was torn up. She took pictures and the police report into the hiring manager. Tried to explain things to the company HR managers, but no dice. She was fired before ever clocking in. New guy started on Monday and was gone by Friday. The guy hit some racking in the warehouse with the forklift. Boss saw him do it, and the guy decided to lie about it when asked if he knew what happened. I was fired on my 2nd day as a line cook at a Mitzel's restaurant in Washington State back in the 90s. Turns out I was hired just to threaten the job security of a longtime line cook with an attitude problem, to keep them in line. He got the message and apologized to the manager. And I was fired for breaking a yolk when flipping fried eggs one time. I'd been a line cook for a few years by then and thought I was doing pretty good. I was taken out the back door and terminated on day 2. Edit. This really seems to be blowing up. Happened in Oak Harbor back in mid-1990s. So yes. I did find another job since then. I was pissed, but got over it quickly. Cooking for a living was hard work. Standing in a hot kitchen for 10 hours at a time. Going home splattered with grease. Getting yelled at by waitstaff and management. I don't do it anymore. Thanks for all the hugs awards, guys. Couldn't pass the simple tests given at the end of new hire orientation. Yelled at test facilitator when she wouldn't just take the test for him. About 35 minutes. I hired a guy to work for me as quality inspector for merchandise headed to Walmart and Target. He bragged about everything he stole from his last job during training and how they paid him more than I did. Well, I'm not holding him back from all that money, so I had some big guys escort him off the property. I worked for a major 3-lettered computer company. A new service tech was hired. Once he logged in, he pulled out a portable hard drive from his backpack, connected it to his machine, and started to copy everything he had access to. Within 3 hours, security was escorting him out a door. Guy had been working a few days at a barn. Decided to smoke right by bales of hay. Manager saw him and fired him right on the spot. At farms, you don't fuck around with fire. Guy slept through 2 meetings on his first day. The second meeting, he started snoring. Both were at a restaurant. They hired a doorman. Came to work the first day with a gun belt locked and loaded. This was a tiny little New England seafood restaurant and he just needed to check IDs of folks going into the bar. He didn't even get to punch in. On the line we had penne alla vodka on the menu. I don't want to ruin the magic that is cookery, but that dish had vodka in it. Bossman goes suspicious when he noticed when the level of the vodka dropped, the odder the behavior our new sauté guy became. Day 1 of training. Within the 6th hour of a 8-hour shift. Worked in an old crank handle service elevator at a private residential condominium. For very, very, very wealthy people. We told him just shut up and stare straight ahead. Don't speak unless spoken to. 'Cause old rich people are mean and don't care about you. Well, what's the new guy do? Starts a conversation right away and asks the resident, how much money do you make? Edit. To be more clear, it was a 1920s skyscraper in downtown. We had a new guy come in. Go through all of the training on starting in our factory. Lockout, tag out and all of that stuff. Said he was an electrician. Then the very first job he was asked to do, he was found working on a machine with the power locked on. There are so many things wrong with that in an industrial setting. It's unbelievable. My boss pulled him out of the machine, said, "You're too stupid to work here," and walked him out of the building. I think he was an actual employee there for 3 days at that point, and this was his first day. Actually on the production floor and not in training. Bonus story, because I apparently can't read. We had a guy go through the interview process. Come in for his first day. Take a tour of the plant and go to his car and go home. It was a lime. No, not the fruit processing plant. 2500F. 1400C. Kilns that turn limestone into activated lime. The whole place is filthy dirty all of the time. Everything about that job sucked. I made it 4 months before the shit management and shit working conditions outweighed the pay. I am not surprised we had so many people quit within the first couple days or weeks of employment there. But this one guy was the fastest. Edit. Sorry, I saw fired, but for some reason though, quit. Edit 2 for anyone confused about how he locked the power on. It was an electrical disconnect that mounts on the front of the electrical cabinet and has a handle that has a loop you can put a lock through. When it's in the up and on position, you can put a lock through the loop, but it doesn't do anything. This guy, after going through our worksite specific Lodo, lockout tag out course where they actually show you how to use these electrical disconnects and someone who claims to be an electrician put the lock on one of these in the on position and climbed into a machine. Not to mention that one of the steps of Loto is to verify that whatever you've locked out is off before stepping inside of it. Essentially, locking it in the on position wasn't the only failure of procedure, but it was the dumbest one. Coworker quit his job. Great job, great pay, great benefits to work in a radio repair place. I mean, gotta do what you love, and he was also a big radio enthusiast. Got fired the first day on the job for stealing parts for his own radios at home. Took him over a year to get back with us. Surprised they rehired him. He then got fired for being a security risk about a year or so later.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.